Hello, my name is Sarah Peyton, and I would like to introduce you to my book, Your Resonant Self Workbook, which accompanies my book, Your Resonant Self, but takes us into an entirely new territory, the discovery of what blocks self-warmth. The first book, Your Resonant Self, is about the relational neuroscience of self-warmth. This second book, the Your Resonant Self Workbook, is about the knots that we tie ourselves in order to try to fit into this world and in order to manage trauma, disappointment, and devastated hope. As humans, we are uniquely vulnerable to disappointment. We do not like disappointment or shame at all. We do not like the cortisol spikes that happen in our bodies when difficult things occur. We, as humans, are much more dependent on our social world than we have ever imagined. But when our social world of humans is scary and shaming, then we close ourselves away from humans, and we kind of suspend ourselves in webs, as if we get caught up in our own spider webs of agreement with ourselves not to really be here. So, for example, let's say we make a beautiful picture and we bring it to a person who we're sure will love it, and we show it to them, and instead of them experiencing it with delight and joy, it's possible that this person might say, "Oh, you really should have used purple instead of blue." Or, "Don't you know, skies are not that color." And then there's a crash. And this might seem like a small thing from the outside, but for all of us who have lived through experiences of our personal expressions being caught with criticism rather than with delight, warmth, and celebration, this is a familiar knowing. So many of us are not artists or are not creative, and this is why. I think humans are naturally artists, are naturally creative beings, but we really, really do not enjoy disappointment, and we do not enjoy when our intention is expression and delight and trying to transform the world, being caught with criticism. It just leaves the human body a little flat. So we make contracts with ourselves. We make agreements with ourselves never to create again, never to express again, never to let our voice be heard again, never to say the truth again. And we have all kinds of in order tos that tell us why we're doing this. We set ourselves up in legal clauses that bind us, like, "I will never be angry again," in order to make sure the world is safe from my rage. Or, "I will never be sad again. I will never let anybody see me cry," in order to be safe from ridicule and humiliation. It's like we can't move, and our face freezes and we become completely immobile and stone-like. "I will never let anybody know my true inner world again," we say. And all of these contracts and agreements that we make with ourselves, really we make them in order to save our own lives and to keep from drowning in shame and loneliness. In order to survive, we say. In order to preserve my life energy, we say. But sometimes these contracts are also relational. Sometimes they're connected with our parents or our grandparents or our family line. I will not be successful in order not to leave my grandparents and great-grandparents who lived in poverty. I will not step forward with my book project in order to honor my mother who never got to write her own book. I will not express sadness in order to keep my father from turning away or to keep us from losing my father to his own sadness. And all the time we're saying to ourselves, I just want to express why can't I express? Why can't I? Why can't I say what I need to say? Why can't I be who I am? And we're bound by our own unconscious contracts. So the Your Resonant Self Workbook takes us step by step through an investigative and exploratory process that lets us begin to untangle those webs, untie the knots that our body has been put in by our own best efforts to survive and to support our families and to contribute to the people we love. And gradually, we start to breathe again, and we become more and more ourselves. This is an experience of delight, and it helps us just enormously if we're also moving into trying to transform the world or doing social justice work. It lets us move into these really serious issues with energy and a sense of humor and a deep resiliency and a willingness to keep going. So I invite you on this exploratory and investigative journey of healing with the Your Resonant Self Workbook.